Good morning, all of you. In last lecture, we have seen some of the basic regarding the motion. Whenever there is a change in position, we could say that particle is in motion. Now, this is my second lecture regarding this motion, and outline of this lecture is like this: that is displacement, its characteristics, speed, velocity, different types of velocity like uniform velocity, average velocity, instantaneous velocity, and last one is acceleration. What is acceleration? Again, it is of three types: uniform acceleration, average acceleration, and instantaneous acceleration. So first we see what is displacement. Displacement is defined as the change of object position that occurs over a time interval. Displacement is a vector quantity as it possesses both magnitude and direction. Now, in order to get clear idea about the displacement, consider an object moves along a straight line. Suppose it starts from origin O. After time t1, it is at position p1 at distance x1 from the origin. After time t2, its position changes, and let us it consider as a p2 at distance x2 from origin in forward direction. Let x1 be the vector and x2 be the vector, position vector of particle at time t1 and t2 respectively. Then the displacement delta x in time delta t is delta x, which is equal to position vector x2 minus x1. If x2 is greater than x1, position vector x2 is greater than x1, then delta x is positive, and if delta x1 position vector is greater than delta x2 position vector, then delta x is negative. And if x1 equal to x2, that is position vector of first position, is equal to minus sign or opposite to this, then delta x which is equal to 0. Means we say that displacement is a vector quantity. It may be positive, it may be negative, or it may be 0. There are some characteristics of this displacement. So we see what are these characteristics. So the magnitude of displacement vector gives shortest distance between the 2 points. This is first characteristics. The displacement may be 0, positive, negative, and it is independent of origin. Third characteristics is path length is scalar while displacement is vector, and last one is displacement is measured in the unit of length. Now this is about displacement. Now second is speed. Second quantity or second article is speed. Speed is a scalar quantity, and so it is related with distance. So speed is defined as distance traveled per unit time. If object travel a total distance, say symbol s, in time interval say t symbol, then speed is equal to ratio of total distance divided by time required to cover that distance, means s divided by t. Now second about this speed, unit of speed is meter per second, SI unit, and CGS is centimeter per second. Now after this we see what is velocity and what is difference between speed and velocity. So velocity is related with displacement and speed is related with distance. Distance is scalar quantity and displacement is vector quantity. So velocity is a vector quantity and it is time rate of change of displacement of an object and it is denoted by symbol V bar. Bar indicate that this is vector quantity. So as displacement is vector, so time rate of change of displacement is again a vector, and we call this as a velocity. Velocity is a vector quantity. SI unit is meter per second and CGS unit is centimeter per second, means speed and velocity have same unit. Now second is uniform velocity. Velocity is of different types. So what is mean by uniform velocity? So object is said to be moving with velocity v. Uniform velocity, if object is said to be moving with uniform velocity if it covers equal displacement in equal interval of time, then this is uniform velocity. So to understand this, consider a object moving with uniform motion along a straight line, that is along x-axis. Let O be the origin. When t equal to 0, object is at origin. After some time, say t, it reaches to another point along x-axis, say capital A, and in further time t dash, it reaches to the another point B. So initial displacement, that is OA vector, which is equal to x position vector, and final displacement is say OB, which is x dash vector. The time interval will be t dash minus t. Time interval will be t dash minus t, and displacement is AB, which is equal to x dash minus x. So uniform velocity can be found as x dash vector minus x divided by t dash time minus t. Now next is average velocity, the ratio of total displacement to the total time taken to travel this displacement. We call this as a average velocity. If delta x is total displacement along x direction and delta t is time interval required to cover this displacement, then average velocity along x direction is v average, which is equal to delta x divided by delta t. Now last one is instantaneous velocity. So instantaneous velocity is defined as limit of average velocity as the time interval delta t becomes extremely small, that is delta t tends to 0. So v average will be limit delta t tends to 0, delta x vector divided by delta t, or according to the definition of limit, v average will be dx by dt. For a particle moving with constant velocity, the instantaneous velocity at any instant of time is equal to average velocity, means for such a case they are equal. Average velocity and instantaneous velocity are equal. Now next article or next short article is acceleration. So acceleration is defined as a rate of change of velocity with respect to time. So as velocity is vector, so acceleration is also vector. Again, acceleration is of three types. Acceleration, first is average acceleration, uniform acceleration, and instantaneous acceleration. Now first, average acceleration. So it is defined as ratio of change in velocity to the time interval during which that change occurs. If v1 and v2 be the velocities of particle at time t1 and t2 respectively, then change in velocity will be delta v, which is equal to v2 velocity minus v1 velocity, and time required for this change in velocity is delta t, which is equal to t2 minus t1. Hence average acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by time taken to cover this, means v2 velocity minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1, or v average will be delta v divided by delta t. SI unit is meter per second and CGS unit is centimeter per second. Now last is instantaneous acceleration. Instantaneous acceleration, similar to the velocity, we write limit of average acceleration of particle as the time interval approaches to the zero, means v average acceleration, which is equal to limit delta t tends to 0 delta v divided by delta t, or as per definition of limit dv by dt. Now second short article is inertia, the tendency of body by virtue of which body maintain its state, either it may be rest or either may be it uniform motion. We call this as a inertia. As mass of the body increases, so as mass increases, inertia of the body also increases. CGS unit is gram and SI unit is kg. Now there are two types of inertia, inertia of rest and inertia of motion, because body has two state, that is state of rest and state of uniformation. Inertia possessed by body when it is at rest, we call this as a rest of inertia of rest. So for example, consider a body which is laying on plane surface, apply a very small force on the body does not move. If we go on increasing the force, body does not move. When force reaches to a particular value, then body just begins to move. That is, body does not move immediately even if the force is applied. Now secondly, we take another example. When suppose body is in state of uniform motion, it does not stop immediately even though the force is applied on it. In both cases, it is observed that body has tendency to oppose the change in the state, and which is called as a inertia. Now we take an example. Suppose book placed on table, it does not move unless we move the book. Second one, when engine of the spacecraft moving through the space is turned off, then it continues its motion in the space at same speed in same direction for some time, and then it will stop. Now this is about the short article displacement, speed, velocity and acceleration, and we will continue in next lecture. Thank you for this.